Hello, and welcome to Just Another Real Estate Podcast, where we'll speak with Arizona's most successful real estate professionals to better understand their business, current market conditions, team and business building strategies, successes, and challenges. This podcast is brought to you by Dwell Inspect Arizona with your host, Sean Garvey.
Welcome to Just Another Real Estate Podcast. Today's guest is Beth Nicastro with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and Arizona Properties. Is that right? And I stumbled on that because you just corrected me.
Arizona Properties.
I've said Berkshire Hathaway for my entire life. And then I was just informed that it's Berkshire. So I wanted to make that right. And that's why it was slow. But Beth, thank you for being on the podcast. I'm excited to talk with you. I was going over some show notes with you. And one thing that really stood out to me is my goals are simple: work hard, be kind, and make a difference. And I'm excited to hear how you do all that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. I just think that I think we can all do our job and we can do it well. But we can also be kind to one another.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most important things in any kind of business, but especially our business, because it is so relationship driven. So I really do try to walk the kind line all the time, and you can still get the job done. So it's just important to me: work hard and be kind. So when my kids were little, and actually to this day, but every time I would leave them, I would drop them off at school or a friend's house or sporting event. Be smart, be kind. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, my son just got that tattooed on him. So I'm strangely proud of that for a tattoo. And now it's kind of morphed to be smart, be kind, and be safe.
Huh. What a great simplistic mission statement. It encapsulates so much in so few words. There's a tendency to kind of have these long, robust, I'm even guilty of it in our mission statement, where it kind of rambles because you have so much you want to get out, and you just nailed it in, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 words. And how has that evolved? What kind of sparked those thoughts that you had? I mean, I know it's important, but it's a journey of how you've kind of come to that summary.
Well, I think as oh boy, this could really open the rabbit hole. I think that for me personally, when I was little, I was bullied, so that's a whole lifetime ago. So I just couldn't understand why people weren't nice, and they weren't nice to me. But I guess when my kids were little, and I thought, gosh, are they being bullied? Are they, how are they treating other people? And how do I want them to, how should they treat other people? So that was just kind of my mantra is I wanted to impress upon them every single time that we parted, that I want them to be smart, and I want them to be kind to people. And I had hoped, and I think I was successful, that would help them navigate through the day. I have to be smart and I have to be kind. So if this person's mean to me, how am I gonna deal with that? And how am I going to deal with it in the right way? So being smart is just super duper important in navigating, I think, through your day, and doing it in a kind manner, I think, is equally important.
Heck yeah. I'm going to have to steal elements of that, or maybe borrow.
You can.
I'll attribute it back to it.
Tattoo right here. So every time he looks at his right arm, he says, be smart, be kind. Okay, well, I might be getting one too.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I think it's ever more prevalent in today's world, and it seems like it's so much easier to bully just based on the internet. And so, my kids are younger, and that may be amplified by the time they get on the internet and start to explore.
It's tough.
So
yeah, it's tough. I took the anti-bullying pledge many, many, many years ago online. I have my little certificate, so if I ever see it, I'm supposed to try to intervene and try to stop it. I almost think it's harder I mean, it's hard to be mean. I don't even know how I, could be mean, but sometimes it is hard to take the high road. Sometimes it's
Sure.
harder to take the high road.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. Um, yeah, sometimes the hard thing's the right thing. And that's impressive that you identified that and again
Well,
encapsulated
and
it
you
into
learn
your,
from it. You you
yeah,
you you gain so much depth from it. I was just talking to somebody, another adult friend who was also bullied when she was little, and we were talking about it, and how it helped groom us and shape
yeah.
us, and it gives you some depth, man. It really does. You look at things a little differently.
Well, the beauty of it is it looked to have given you power because you haven't let it stop you, and it seems like you've overcome
Try not to.
those scars. That's amazing.
I can't let that stop me.
No, no, no. And that's not specifically who designs you. Tell me, or defines you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where you're from and what.
I am originally from Princeton, New Jersey. I
Okay.
moved out here when I was 13. My mom bought my dad a long weekend trip to Wickenburg, and this was in 1977, 76,
Okay.
77. And he comes home from being at the Dude Ranch.
Yeah.
I remember my mom was reading Helter Skelter, and she heard the coyotes right outside their little hotel in the middle of the desert. It was very spooky. But anyway, my dad comes home. We're moving to Arizona. Okay.
Yeah.
So he moved out. He moved to Cottonwood, Arizona first. We were there for about a year. Well, he went out a year before us. And then we moved out and joined him. We were there for about a year. And my mom said, Norman, this isn't good. Because Cottonwood at that time was like population of, oh, I don't know. I mean, 10. I mean, it was
Yeah.
small. It
You
was
doubled it.
very, very small. And we're used to this big Princeton, New Jersey. My dad was an eye surgeon. We used to one lifestyle. And there was like, I guess a little bit like, what's that? Not Petticoat Junction, but what's the other TV series? Green Acres. Green
Oh yeah.
Acres.
Yeah. Sure.
So we were in Cottonwood for about a year, and then we came to Scottsdale. And I've been a proud Scottsdale resident since this was 1978. Yeah, that
Wow.
I came out here.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of changes, a lot of
Tons.
growth.
Tons. It was I think it's generally for the good, for the most part. Although, it's expansive, but each niche in Phoenix seems to keep getting better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little biased, but this is the greatest state I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I feel like it's a bit under the radar and a little bit secret, but you can't really say that being the fifth largest city in the US, but there's so much to offer just outside of Phoenix too, even though Phoenix is great, or the Phoenix proper
Oh,
Scottsdale area. Yeah.
I mean, and it's growing. We just had a big luxury tour this morning, and we had a great speaker about land and just growth, and we had a couple of great speakers today. But in like 2022, there were 228 people that moved to Arizona per day.
Uh-huh.
168, I think. Those are kind of like rough numbers. In Maricopa County a day in 2022. So people are still
Wow.
coming here.
For sure. Still. Yeah, I mean it's been one of the fastest growing that I can remember, even as a kid, the fastest growing cities in the US for a long time, if not, top 5 or 10. It's pretty crazy.
How long have you been here? Since 98?
So I was born here, born in 1980. So I am actually third generation Phoenician, with my mom and grandmother here, and then my daughter's now fourth generation Phoenician, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, yeah. My kids are natives.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people from other places for sure, but
for sure.
yeah, my kids are natives.
I say that with a badge of pride, I guess. Something about the desert gets underneath you, or in your skin, I should say.
Well, I remember, my kids would be like, "Oh, I miss they like greenery." I'm like, we do have some greenery.
Yeah,
The desert does have color,
yeah,
and I mean, our sunsets,
Unreal.
There's nothing like an Arizona sunset.
Yeah. And if you look at the mountain right now, we've had so much rain. It is green.
It is green. I know.
Yeah.
We've got colors. We do have changing of the seasons.
Yeah. Lots of
No,
brown.
but I
Quite a
love
bit
it.
of
I
green.
love it here. My background's a little eclectic,
Yeah.
always heavily customer service oriented. My first real job was working at Duck and Decanter. I made sandwiches every Saturday.
No
Nooners. Have
way.
you ever been to Duck and Decanter?
Million times. It's great.
I used to work there. I used to make sandwiches
No kidding.
and on weekends. And then I started working at a dinner theater, singing waiters and waitresses, and I did that for about, oh gosh, 15 years.
No kidding.
About 15 years. And then I became a booking agent for a modeling and talent agency. So we would do local commercials and fashion shows and hair shows. And at that time, the film industry was actually pretty significant here in Arizona. But then everything kind of moved to Canada and Albuquerque, and then after that, I started working for a diamond broker. So I mean, I just
Wow.
all very, very eclectic
Yeah, for
background,
sure.
but heavily driven in customer service
Yeah.
and really dealing with people from all different walks of life.
Yeah. I think no, I have a question though. Well, if you said you were in a singing and performing restaurant, where the waiters, waitress, did you have aspirations of being in theater or being up on stage or in front of camera? I mean, I would have to imagine
Well,
that that would have.
I
Oh, you
was in
were.
theater in high school. I did,
Yeah.
and I mean, all amateur stuff, Sean, but
Sure.
um, yeah, I did shows at school,
Hmm.
and I did a lot of little singing contests around the valley. You know, there's not a whole lot of places where somebody can go and sing. But the
Sure.
beauty of the restaurant that I used to work at is I could sing every single night.
Every
And
night
it
you're on
wasn't like you
stage.
sing at the table and a parody of a song. There was a stage, there was, a musician behind you, and you'd have your little 15, 20 minutes of performing in front of
Wow.
people. And then you go back down to serving salads and prime rib, and
Well,
keeps you humble.
I've said it before, and I believe on a previous podcast that I believe all people should experience some aspect of restaurant life, because it creates a lot of drive towards or understanding, tolerance of people, service, the ability to read people, make people happy. But your experience sounds like it was significantly amplified if you have to add in singing on stage and performing. I mean, that's just a next level
Yeah,
restaurant worker. That,
yeah,
that's
it was fun.
incredible.
It was
Yeah.
fun. It was a wonderful, 15, 16 years.
Yeah. That's incredible. So then well, we jumped a couple, but then into a diamond broker. So you're trading diamonds and understanding a whole new world of jewelry and what I assume.
Yeah, yeah, that was very interesting too. Um, and it was by appointment only. It wasn't like a retail shop, so it was really kind of high end
Yeah.
and custom jewelry. So that was fun to have somebody come to you and say, I want to build an engagement ring, but I don't know what I want. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So you have to take them through the whole process. Okay, which shape do you want, and show them different, just it's kind of like when someone tells you they want to move here and they want to find a
Yeah.
house. You're like, oh, okay, and you start from ground zero. So that's like my favorite thing to do. I used to love to help design jewelry, and not only like you take it from the concept in your imagination to see it come to life
Yeah.
is pretty awesome.
How would that work? I mean, are you sitting there with like a pen and paper and somebody saying like, "Oh, I want this cut here," and then you kind of sketch it out, or
Yeah,
was there a
you
program?
can. You can. I'm not very artistic, so that was never my go-to. But
Right.
magazines, pictures, Tiffany, Cartier,
Ah,
you
yeah.
they say, oh, I want the bottom of this ring, but I want the top of this ring. I want a 6-prong head instead of a 4-prong head. So
Huh.
you're really only limited by your imagination.
Sure.
So you can put many different aspects different pieces and create your own.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun.
So another element of high level customer service, and that brings you into what's brought us together is your career in real estate, right? What was the catalyst for you entering in to the world of real estate and becoming a
Well,
real estate agent?
it's like I hear so many people say, I thought about it for a long time. And
Yeah,
I did think about it for a short time. But were when my kids were in school, I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be home nights and weekends. So luckily, when I was working for the jeweler, it was just days. I worked Monday through Friday from like 8 to 6. So I still had my nights and I still had my weekends to be with my kids. But then when they went to college and then kind of went off on their own, I thought that would be a good time for me to do it because I knew it would not be easy. I
right.
knew I was reinventing myself all over. And and I guess why real estate is my mother-in-law was a realtor for
Mm.
ever. So she was a mentor of mine when I first got started. And my husband owns a mortgage brokerage.
Oh wow.
So I'd always hear, I'd hear him on the phone or I'd hear him talking to her or her talking, so just it was just kind of in our day-to-day conversations. So I decided to give it a try, and I went to real estate school, and I did the gangsta put your hair in a ponytail 9-day crash course. I would wake up with the crack of dawn, I'd get down there, come home, eat a little something, study all night, do the same thing all over again. I took my test, bam. I mean, I was like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
It
crammed it
was
all in.
not it was not easy.
Yeah.
It was not easy. But I got it done. I was licensed and had it all done within like 3 months.
Wow.
But that's not where you really learn real
No,
estate.
yeah. Then the
That's
story
just where
begins.
you get the opportunity to
Yeah,
say you're a realtor.
yeah. So then what? You got your license. You've been encompassed it for forever. Maybe mother-in-law at this point is starting to say, these are your next steps. What worked for her? Is that
Yeah,
right?
no,
Or
I did. I was with. I guess I'm allowed to say real estate company names, right?
sure.
I
Yep.
was with Russ Lyon for
Nobody's
a little
listening to
bit.
this.
She was with Russ Lyon. What?
Yeah. I said nobody's
Okay.
listened to this. So
You can edit it. You need to edit it. So, but that wasn't at that time. It wasn't a great place for a newbie.
yeah,
It just now it'd be different because I'm so far. I'm more seasoned, but have a long way to go. We never know
right.
everything. But I landed at Berkshire Hathaway, and um, it's it's been a really great brokerage for me. The
Yeah.
support, the colleagues, um, it's right at Kierland for now. I know we'll be moving at some point. But so I landed at Berkshire Hathaway, had my first deal through Berkshire Hathaway. I went for about a year and a half, nothing, zero,
From the
zero
date
deal for like
you
a year
got
and
your
a half.
license to a year and a half later was your first transaction. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I think I had a rental maybe in between then. Um, But and I know some people come right out of the gate, they got
Sure.
to deal with it the first. And that was not my story. That was not my story. But I would say maybe 3 years into it is when it really, really, really started to click.
Yeah.
And it's been going great ever since.
Tell me about that first deal. I mean, you had to be frustrated after a year and a half having your license, people asking you, have you had any success? And you just keep saying, I'm working, I'm working, I'm working. I mean, that must have felt
Yeah,
great.
I do remember my first deal
Sure.
actually. And it kind of circled back around very recently this summer. So I was doing an open house around Greyhawk area.
Okay.
And I met this lovely couple, came into my open house, and they said, our daughter is thinking of moving here. And I just think you'd be a good fit for her. We've met other agents. We just don't think that they would be a good fit. So um, they hired me and I took them around, bought a house the very first day, and they never knew it was my first deal. I never
Yeah.
had to tell them. It was my first deal. My branch manager at the time, Donna Belgram, was also a huge mentor of mine.
Wow.
She, was with me late at night and just, answering the phone. She was just there for me. So I never really had to tell them. And it's not that I'm afraid to say I don't know the answer, because you have to say I don't know
Sure.
sometimes. To this day, I say, no, I'll find out. And you learn from it. But no, I never had to tell them. But this summer, they called me, and the young lady wanted to move up to northern Arizona and sell her house. So I was able this summer to be able to sell the very first house that I ever sold when I got into the industry. So that for me, that was, I don't know, that was kind of special.
Heck yeah. That's touching. I'm grinning ear for, I was cheering for you right then. And then I love hearing the end of that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's great.
I mean, that's
It was
amazing
great.
that
I mean, yeah, I
they came
remember when I
back.
did a little video outside the house. I like to do videos. I like to do
Sure.
social, this little fun quirky stuff. And I remember sitting out in front of the house, and I had my little camera, and I said, "This was the very first house I sold." And I, like, tears were coming down my face, but they were like genuine tears. And
Yeah.
the fact that they trusted me then and trusted me 8 years later was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. Did you keep in, I mean, there's the methodology of keeping in contact, or was it just the kind of reflection of who you are as a person? That's why they came back to you. Because the adage is that most people know lots of realtors, and most people can't remember the realtor that they used when they bought or sold a house. But you obviously made and continue to
Yeah.
make an impact on that family. Yeah.
Well, I believe, like I said earlier, this is a relationship business.
Yeah.
So I may not be, yeah, I stay in touch. I call though.
Yeah.
I have a monthly newsletter that I send out, and I do like client appreciation dinners.
Mhm.
Actually, I just did my first client appreciation dinner last year, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Really fun to do. But no, I bake stuff, and I'll drop them off at people's houses. That is my give back, is through my heart, through my time, and trying just to keep these, and no, I mean, you're not like everybody's best friend, but I'll tell you, I have gained so many close friendships
Uh-huh.
through real estate, that there's a lot of people in my life that enrich me.
Wow. That's really incredible. And that's kind of outside the box thinking. Like I imagine when you're making calls, you're not just doing it begrudgingly, like you're doing it um, because you're genuinely interested. And because somebody who's baking cookies and dropping them
Yeah.
off at people's house isn't, you're not necessarily prospecting. You're just doing it because you like the person.
I do.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's because I like them. Like today, we were driving around with this. We went, and there were 4 houses around the Pinnacle Peak area that was on tour. And we were driving around Troon, and I look up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the house I sold a year ago. And we were coming from a different direction.
Yeah.
So, and I was looking at it, I'm like, that's a really pretty house. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a woo. So I texted them, and I'm like, I just drove by your house. It looks even more beautiful from, the back, because
Yeah.
it's on a hillside. It's just beautiful. But, it's just all organic, Sean. It all has to come organically for me. I don't cold call. I don't, I used to door knock. If I was doing an open house, I would invite people to the open houses. And I do believe in open houses. But for me, it's, sometimes my husband and I will just go to a restaurant, sit at the bar, have dinner, and meet somebody unforgettable next to
Yeah.
us.
Huh.
And that's how I grow my business. It's through referral, it's from Sphere. I don't do the coaching. I don't do the cold calling. I try to be consistent with
Yeah.
what I do,
Yeah.
but it's not like the way you read statistically that,
Sure.
you get, you build your business.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It seems to work for you, and you don't seem like you've ever met a stranger. And through that if you're talking to the neighbors at the bar and so on and so forth. But
Yeah, well, sometimes my husband's like, tone it down a little bit.
so
But
you
it's fun.
mentioned,
It's fun to meet people.
oh, for sure. Well, it's an important part of life. We're social animals. Um, you mentioned that your business clicked about 3 years after you got into it. What changed in that? Because that's another year and a half after your
It was
first
it was
deal.
one open house.
One specific
It was
moment.
an open house. It was an open house that I did around the Stonegate area. I don't know what it was about that open house, but I met 3 or 4 people that became buyers, and then their family became buyers. So that one open house brought a big book of business for me.
Heck yeah.
People that I still work with, and then they refer me to people. So, it's so nice when you get a referral. It says that you did right, you know.
Yeah.
And even though every single transaction, I'm like, oh, what could I have done better? And I'm not perfect.
No,
But there's things that I look back and I'm like, I should have done like that. And you learn it from the next time. So none of us will ever be in a situation or a transaction that we know the answers to everything. But definitely, you analyze after each one and, what could I have done better? What could
sure.
you know, how could I have made that a little smoother?
I mean, that's what I think in general, what successful people do is to kind of analyze and look for um, areas of improvement, because there always is areas of improvement, and not become complacent. And I love how you have that one moment made everything different. Because I can specifically think about times in the starting of my businesses where you don't want to do something, or it's getting hard, and you just get that one little area of opportunity that opens up, and a little bit of shining light, and all of a sudden everything just starts going right.
Yeah.
And like I've talked to other people who are in similar situations. They're starting their business and they say, I don't really feel like that, or I don't want to offend somebody. And I said, you're not necessarily offending them, or you're just taking a chance, and everybody um, is open to you taking a chance. So give them the opportunity to kind of work with you, I guess. And that's incredible that
Yeah,
you have that moment. Yeah,
yeah, and it doesn't mean that. I mean that I know sometimes I'll vacillate. Should I? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? Should
sure.
I? Should I? But I know I would be more regretful if I didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
You know. So
yeah. I mean, I went into an open house to go meet an agent once, and I remember the first time I did it, and I went back and forth in my car like 4 times. Like, I'm gonna do it, get up to the door, and like my hands were shaking, and I'd go back to the car, and then finally I just said, I've got to do it. And it was terrible, but it only got better from there. You only became more familiar
yeah,
meeting somebody from there.
it's only hard the first time, maybe the second time too. My dad
Yeah.
used to always tell me that because I mean I've always been a little cautious. Although he did say, Beth, you walk a tightrope with no net. So that was his perception of me. But I mean, I feel like I'm super cautious.
Yeah.
But sometimes and the times that I do take that risk, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did that. It wasn't perfect, but you did it. And then the
Yeah.
next time it'll be even, it's empowering.
It is. It is. It makes you just a little bit better, and then you keep getting a little bit better, and then things keep growing. It's compounding.
Well, Sean, if you ever walked into my open house, I would be very happy to see you.
Me too. I would as well. You would you would not make me as nervous as some of the ones that are like, get out of here.
Yeah,
um,
it happens. It
so you mentioned
happens.
that you had the camera flipped around and you were using social media, and in that you mentioned that you like to use social media. How do you use it differently, or how do you use it to help your business? Um, it's hard for a lot of people.
Well, I don't know if I'm really getting any. Well, I did get one deal. I did
Yeah.
get one deal from a referral from another Berkshire Hathaway agent in California that was following my Instagram,
Yeah.
and she referred some, and now she's referring another buyer to me
That's
from
too.
California. So I do a couple little things. I try to spotlight local businesses and try to, whether it be like a workout facility, or I was just at this cute little place called Flower Bar in Old Town Scottsdale. We're going to be spotlighting them, or a restaurant. So spotlight locals. Like to do that. I like to go on luxury home tours, and if they'll allow videos, and I'll do reels of, multi-million-dollar homes in Arizona. I like to do what I call bits with Beth, and it's just giving a little bit of real estate information. And I've had, I remember but I did a little bit about inspections.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, and the importance of an inspection and the process of inspections, and and then I'm working on a new one that I can't quite disclose. I'll be finishing that on Saturday, but that's called Bits with Beth. And I do it in my car. Yeah, I've got a Jeep Wrangler. I do it all in my car. I'm comfortable there. In fact, I almost wanted to do this Zoom in my car. And then I do Bites with Beth, and this started really organically. I was in Surprise showing houses a couple of years ago, and I was with a family with small kids. And it was lunchtime, and we decided to go our separate ways for lunch so they can change diapers, kind of regroup, and I wanted pizza. So I was Googling, pinning like, where's the nearest pizza place? So I wound up at Number One Brothers Pizza in Surprise, Arizona. It was the best pizza I'd ever eaten in my car. So I took a picture of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in Surprise showing houses. This pizza is so amazing. So I had to go back to Surprise a few times to help them get through the transaction, and I tried different pizza places all around Surprise. So then I started doing videos. So now I do Bites with Beth, but it's usually just pizza places all over, and it's, it's either before an inspection or after final walkthrough. It's always incorporated in with real estate, but so that's kind of fun too.
That's really creative. So then the burning question
happened really organically.
Is the pizza place, the first origination of the Bites with Beth pizza place, is burned into your brain? Is that still the best pizza in the state, or what's your go-to pizza place?
That Number One Brothers Pizza was pretty darn good. It's been 2 years since I've had it. I'd like to go back, and now that I've had, now I'm a pizza connoisseur. Go back and see what I think of it. But I'll tell you, one of my favorite pizzas is Peter Piper.
Really?
It may be shocking to some people. I don't know what it is about their sauce or their crust. But I love Peter Piper. Bianco's incredible. Venezio's pizza is really good. It's really hard to mess up pizza. I even like the Lean Cuisine cauliflower crust pizza.
That's awesome. A pizza connoisseur and a real estate agent. All coupled together. No, that's really creative. I mean, I appreciate that you're titling it, that you're intentional with what you're doing about it, and sharing for the betterment of those that follow you. And
the pizza thing is just silly, but it's fun. But the Bits with Beth, I want to do more of, because I think people want value. They want, it's short, try to keep them short, just little bits about little nuances, of the industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly relevant. We actually took 2 hours today just to kind of peel back the curtain of home inspections with new real estate agents. And I sat and talked, I probably could have talked for 10 hours. I talked for 2 hours about, every little thing that we'd be doing through the house and what we were looking for and things that they could look out for. And I'm sure they were overwhelmed, but my goal would be is if they learned, 5-10%, they just got a little bit better, and we videoed it so they can go back and watch it. And I think people like, especially now that information's so prevalent, to kind of really peel back and not just take stuff at face value and kind of really understand important aspects about what the client's going to go through and what even the agent's going to go through during the home inspection. So hopefully we were helpful in that today, but I see that in your
Oh, I'm sure you are.
bits
I'm
bits
sure
with
you
Beth
are.
portion. I mean, you talk about doing the
I
top
should have
three
you on my
things of
bits with Beth.
inspectors. Sure, let's do it. Let's do it. So how has your business grown? You said it's organic and referrals are getting more prevalent. What are you setting goals every year and working to attain them, or is it kind of fly by the seat of the pants and we're just gonna figure it out as we go?
No, I know. I hear everybody talk about I'm, working on my plan for 2023.
Yeah.
No,
No?
I don't. I'm not. I have my planner and there's always something to do. I mean,
Sure.
it's not like, and yes, the industry's had a little bit of a dramatic shift lately. So, um, I'm not as busy as I was the last 3 years. The last 3 years, Sean, I didn't stop.
Yeah.
I had two
It was
weeks,
nuts.
like this last summer. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And of course, my husband and I planned a trip, and then all of a sudden my phone rang and I got two listings.
Yeah.
So it's for the last 3 years, I really have not stopped. The beginning of this year, right now is a little quiet for me, but I do have a CRM. I do work on my emails. I do send out, New Year's cards. I mean, there's always things for me to do. But no, I don't. I hope my planner gets full. I take my planner from last year and I put special events on my new planner, so I know
Sure.
they closed on this year, and so I can keep in touch with anniversaries and just hey, you've been in your house 1 year, have a cookie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in that description, it sounds like maybe you don't have a specific set of goals, but it sounds like you're very intentional in your process. Um,
Oh, I have lofty
yeah,
goals. I
yeah,
guess I just don't like write them out. I
yeah,
don't. Yeah, I mean, I want to do my goal is, Sean. My goal is to help people.
yeah,
As silly as that may sound, my goal is to help people. It being a residential matchmaker, I really, really care, and
yeah.
I'm fierce about it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What brought you into that? What connection? Like when you knew it was right, was it after the first house you sold and you're like through that process, you're like, this is it for me and I'm good at it. And I'm sure you just kept trying to meet
No,
people.
I think it took me even a little bit longer than
Yeah.
that. I wasn't sure if this was a good fit for me for a
Oh
while.
wow.
I really wasn't sure. I'm like, I don't know if I fit the that realtor. I didn't know if it was what I really wanted to do. And it took me a while to get into it. Of course, learning more about the industry helped me dramatically.
Sure.
It's really scary. This is the most expensive investment of a person's lifetime, and it's one of the it's one of the shortest careers to educate yourself in. You have to go
No
to
doubt.
if you want to be a hairdresser, you have to go to school for a couple years. Here, I mean, you can do it in 9 days, and then
Yeah.
a few weeks later, you can be licensed handling, and you're an attorney too. I mean, think you have to think so critically. You have to think so differently, and you can't tell people what to do. You just have to ask them the right questions so that they can figure out what is best for them. So this is a very, very hard position to be in. And we carry a lot of weight with
Huh.
someone's most expensive investment.
I appreciate your transparency into that. We don't often hear kind of that aspect of kind of the weight that you carry and the seriousness that you take in it too. Um,
Oh, well, you can get in big trouble.
yeah,
You can really get in big trouble if you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, and as a especially as a seller too with those disclosures.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a big deal. I remember when I was I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I was newly a new agent, and he looked at all of us and very, very point blank said to us, "This is a very noble profession."
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
when he said it, it just kind of, I mean, it stuck with me, and I do feel that it's a very noble position
Yeah.
and occupation. And I know some wonderful agents out there, and the ones that are really out there, we work, we work hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it, there are a lot of people that get into it. But it should be carried with a lot of integrity and professionalism. And I'm certainly appreciative of those that certainly do that. And I'm not saying that people don't get in with that, but there's elements of businesses that are trying to get into it, which are trying to systematize it, and it's refreshing to see someone like you to kind of break it down on the emotional impact that you have on people, and and really what the ultimate goal is of your profession. That's great. That's great.
Help people. Just want to help people.
Just help people. So we were talking a little bit before, and I was trying to remember how we came to be in your good graces and how we got to meet you, and
Yeah.
it's refreshing to hear that. Please let's rehash that story real quick. So
Oh, I
how
would
did
love to.
how did
So I
we meet you?
represented a seller, and Dwell Inspect was the inspector, and I'd never used you before. It was my first experience with you. So, I mean, and the buyers did not want me to attend the summary, and I always like to attend the summary if they'll have me. I'm always at a summary if I represent the buyer.
Yeah,
Um, but
seller.
I like to be there
Oh,
if I represent the seller. It helps to connect the dots when they ask for things, that I can say, yeah, I saw it, I was there, and I can tell my seller, yeah, it's true, it's true.
yeah,
So anyway, I wasn't this buyer did not want me there, but we did get a pretty healthy Finzer. It's not like you guys were glazing over anything, or she liked you because you missed things. She's like, they found things that, because she had just bought the place maybe a year and a half before. Just,
yeah,
they found things that my inspector should have found. So we got through that. We sold the house. So when we went to buy her house, she goes, I want that same company.
yeah,
The company that did the inspection on my house, I want them. So it was my first time calling. I think I spoke to Leah, who's just awesome, and
the greatest.
just, yeah, she's just great. Um, and then I've been using you ever since. The last, I think it's probably been a year and a half,
Yeah,
but
thereabouts.
I have not swayed the way.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
no, no, no. We'll arm wrestle for that. Thank you. It's interesting that you mentioned that about, because I often joke that, and I think it to be true, but we as inspectors know more about the seller's house after 3 hours of being in there than the seller knows. And that's
I
just due to
believe
the
it.
nature. I would imagine maybe even if an inspector came into my house, since I'm not in every nook and cranny through it, they might know more about it than me when they got through with it, which would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
What do you like about inspections in general? What do you like about home inspections in the real
I
estate?
love learning about homes. I
Yeah,
love, I love hearing about splits and the AC. I learn, anti-siphon devices, and
yeah,
yeah, how to look at roofs, and double tapping of the electrical panel.
yeah,
I know so much more about houses. So it's interesting for me just to learn about that, but it also helps me kind of guide my clients through it a little bit better. I knew nothing about houses. I am the least handy person you would ever, ever. I mean, it really took me. about 4 or 5 inspections to get the anti-siphon device. Okay, I
Yeah.
get that now. Or, the sealing of the seals of the windows when they start to give, and
Yeah.
just, walking on the floor and feeling for little, you know, pockets.
Yeah.
I just find it all so interesting, just learning about a home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people spend so much time in it, and it's important. Um, what do you
And
what do
now
you
I can,
like?
like, I can't fix things. I mean, I have to have a handyman, but even in my own house, I'll say to my husband, oh, that we need to do that. We need to do that. So, um, I'm the middle child of 3 girls. There was no like handyman stuff at our
No.
house. So it's interesting. And I learned so much just by listening to inspections.
Well, with YouTube and your crash course in inspections, maybe you can dive into some light handyman work and progress through there too.
I'd love to take a woodworking class or something and learn how to do
Yeah,
something with my hands. I think that'd be fun.
that would be cool. What do you like the least about it? What do you like? What do you dislike about home inspections?
They're a necessary evil. I think it's
Yeah,
the most important part of a transaction. There's, is this stupid if I say there's nothing I don't like about it? Um, I, I, they, what I don't like is if, okay, I got one. An
yeah,
inspection is not performed so that a buyer can just dump everything on the seller. As
yeah,
an inspection is to find out about your house. You want to find out what you're buying. You want to find out what you need to budget for. You want to find out things that, I mean, health, safety items, yes. Those,
sure,
I mean, I'm always all day. Safety items, safety items, safety items. I just lost an earring. That's okay. Um, Cosmetic, no,
yeah,
so I set that expectation up at the very, 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 very beginning. I just don't think an inspection is to, and I have some people that, there's two thought processes there. Just ask for everything and see what they're willing to do.
right,
Or, pick things that are important to you. Let's go through the list together and talk about these items. And I like the way, you guys do it with, these are action items. These are items that we feel are safety. These
right,
are maintenance. These are budgeting. So um, it's the most important part of the transaction. Um, and I think as long as you set the expectations up that yeah, they're going to find things. They're paid to find things, but you pick and choose.
yeah,
What you want, and just get to know your house, know what you're buying. And I'm really into sewer scopes now.
yeah,
I used to, I don't know if it's just been lately. I don't think sewer scopes really were provided by a general inspector back then.
yeah,
So you'd have to have a plumber, a big sewer scope, very expensive. And what we were told is like houses built before, I think 1995, or anything with a lot of landscape around it,
hmm,
is the root systems. But for 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 I mean, I encourage my buyers to do it every time.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if we were first, but we were pretty early adopters into adding the sewer scope, the ability to bring in a sewer scope with our inspection. I saw that when I was back in Hawaii with the inspection company out there. Um, and you're right.
Smart.
I've had some personal experiences on a house that I was under contract with, or even the house that I bought, where there were issues, and the house I bought was brand new. And so um,
Right.
the age is almost more dangerous, to say 1995. We offer to everybody and allow them to make the decision and say yes or no. And if they don't do it, that's fine. I believe that they should do it because you never know what's going to happen. But if they don't do it, then they're adults and they made that decision. And it, quite honestly, it reduces liability on our side and the agent side as well, because the sewer strangely can carry a lot of liability, unfortunately.
And it's very costly. It
Very.
is very costly if something should if you do have a backup. Um, yeah, so you're speaking of new houses, I have some clients that had bought a new house in California. They live here now, but they had a big problem. Brand new house. I guess there was some sort of sludge, some sort of cement, drywall,
Yep.
something that the workers put down the shower drain, and it
Yep.
dried. And
Yep.
it was a big mess.
It's fairly common for they're doing it when the foreman's not looking, the project manager's not looking, and they put the grout during the
Right?
tiling into the drain, or we've seen water bottles, or Coke bottles or whatever, um, rocks, tons of rocks in brand new construction houses. And in my house, I think it was 3 or 4 days where it backed up, and we got it cleared, and then it did again. And you would think, I even owned sewer equipment at that time. I'd never done my own sewer. You would think I would have done it to explore it, but I just figured it's a new house, no issue. And fortunately, we were
Yeah.
able to get ours fixed because it was still under warranty, and a lot of people wouldn't have that, and it probably would have cost, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 thousand dollars if I had to pay for it out of pocket, and that's an inexpensive repair on sewers. So
So
yeah,
funny that you would mention this because we're in the middle of a remodel right now, our
yeah.
bathrooms, and our shower is going to be tiled next week. What can I do to to avoid, like, what can I do to make
Um,
sure that there's no grout going down my drain?
you could cap the drain. If you could put a little cover over the drain. One of my friend's dad does some remodels, and when he was building, or helping to build his son's house, I mean, he went out there and like put tons of duct tape and towels over the top of that, and kept going. You just have to remember to take the cap off, to
Yeah.
make sure. You
Okay.
don't want to
All
you
right.
don't want to
Well, so
mess
far
with
so
it,
good.
but hopefully, I feel like most people are well intentioned, and maybe a remodel's a little bit slower, but you'll be there to kind of watch over and make sure that they're doing that. Maybe set expectations right out in front, and just say, hey, any waste needs to go not in the sewer system. Um,
Yeah.
but, but
Yeah.
the
I
beauty
didn't,
is,
I did not even think about that until this conversation. So thank you.
sure,
Thank you very
no,
much.
you're also living in the house, so you can continue to run water to get movement in the drain. Because if it's something that's heavier, it's going to take longer to get from, say, the bathroom to the sewer system than traditional water, and all water will outpace that. And then at the end of the day, it's not catastrophic. You can jet it out if it needed to be.
Yeah.
So it's not going to cause permanent damage, but it can cause an inconvenience.
All right. Well,
So watch
I'll
cautiously.
keep you posted.
Yeah. um, well, I want to be respectful of your time. That hour has just really flown by. Where can people find you if they want to get in your circle, or
Well, Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook, and my phone. I mean,
yeah,
call me, set up coffee. If you're interested in talking real estate, just we'll go have pizza. We'll go have a cup of coffee, or, so you know, yeah, call me. That's where you'll find
perfect.
me.
We'll
And I do have
put
an office at Berkshire, that I really haven't been there much so far this year, but I'm planning on next week to hit the ground running again. This last couple of weeks, I've been just kind of um, putting Christmas away and regrouping. It was just a really busy 3 years. So this has been kind of nice. I actually went on a hike with a girlfriend of mine, which
wow.
I don't have time to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I'm like, I'm so afraid they're going to stop asking me to do things during the day. So yeah, that's been kind of great. But yeah, just kind of regrouping. And next week, Bites with Beth and Bits with Beth starts up again.
beautiful. Well, we look forward to seeing that. We're going to put all your contact information in the show notes, so that people can get a
Thanks,
hold of you
Sean.
if they need it. No, thank you, Beth. I appreciate your time and your insight, and you are nailing your goals. Sounds like you're working hard. It sounds like you're kind and you're making a difference in your world. So thank you for that. This was awesome.
Well, you're welcome. My pleasure. And it's an honor.
Oh, it was great.
Have a great weekend, or whatever day this is. But
You as
thank
well.
you for the opportunity, Sean. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you again.
It'll be our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Just Another Real Estate Podcast. For the latest episodes, please subscribe and be sure to follow Dwell Inspect Arizona on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. To contact Dwell Inspect Arizona, call us at 480-867-4599. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, email our team at office@dwellinspectaz.com.